we're in an emergency phase for a number of weeks, if not a number of months, and it will take a very long time for people to recover. I mean, the level of destruction, people getting back into any sense of normal life, particularly in Derna, and if there are other areas that's severely affected, we're talking about months and years ahead.
There are concerns that the death toll from the Libyan floods could reach 20,000 after 2 dams burst during Storm Daniel on Sunday. The destruction is on a massive scale, as it predicted a quarter of the port city of Derna has been swept into the ocean. Rescue efforts are being carried out as survivors are still being pulled from collapsed buildings. Here to tell us more is Richard Blewitt, who's the Executive Director of the International Red Cross and Red Crescent Movement. Richard, what are you able to tell us about the latest from Derna?
Aid is starting to reach Derna, which is a good thing. We've been able to distribute to 6,200 households some health and hygiene supplies, and food and has been distributed to 1,800 households. But there are many, many logistical challenges for the Libyan Arab Red Crescent and other humanitarian actors on the ground to reach the affected communities. Assessments are still going on. And of course, we're very worried about waterborne diseases, access to medical care and other basic support that's going to be critical in the days and weeks ahead.
Now, Storm Daniel hit on Sunday. We're now on Friday. When does this stop being a rescue operation and turn into a recovery one?
You know, we have probably a number of weeks of very basic support that's going to be absolutely essential. I mean, people need access to safe places to sleep. They need access to clean water. The water systems will have been severely disrupted in Derna and in surrounding areas. Assessing and reaching the surrounding areas that were also affected by the flash flood is also a major priority to really understand the problem that we're facing. So I think we're in an emergency phase for a number of weeks, if not a number of months, and it will take a very long time for people to recover. I mean, the level of destruction, people getting back into any sense of normal life, particularly in Derna, and if there are other areas that's severely affected, we're talking about months and years ahead.
Now, in terms of the dams bursting themselves, I mean, was this a threat that we knew of? Did we kind of expect it when we saw the weather system come in, or did this catch people on the ground completely by surprise?
The Libyan Red Crescent was preparing for Storm Daniel as a local humanitarian actor. I'm sure the governments were doing some level of preparedness. But you know, this is a country that's experienced 10 years of conflict, and the infrastructure has probably not been properly maintained. And so it was very difficult to foresee that these dams would break. And of course, the level of destruction, I mean, it was a very bad event with the flash flood just because of the level of rainfall, but it was massively made worse because of the breaking of the dams.
Well, you talk about that conflict, and Derna was or used to be certainly a base for Islamic State fighters after Gaddafi fell. There has been some discussion, but in today's times, indeed, is that has created complications. For example, parts of the areas were mined, and some of these mines are now being washed away, and that's causing extra issues in terms of danger, if you like.
I mean, mines and other ordnance, you know, that was a problem before this current very dramatic effects of Storm Daniel and the breaking of the dams. Now, many of the ordnance and mines will have moved, and that makes responding to the crisis even more complicated. The International Committee of the Red Cross is in Libya. It has a large presence working with the Libyan Arab Red Crescent, and they have a lot of experience working with addressing ordnance, trying to keep civilians safe so that we can get on with providing large-scale humanitarian assistance.
Now, I have to say, when we're talking about a death toll that is already past sort of 12,000, 13,000, it's worried and there are concerns it's going to reach around 20,000, that actually the attention that this has grabbed around the world is much lower than we've seen in other events in other countries. And I mean, I don't know whether that's because of our own history in Libya, or whether it's just an area that's incredibly hard to get cameras to.
I mean, you know, last year we responded to 122 different crises around the world. The Africa food crisis hasn't received really much global attention, but we have 140 million people suffering from moderate to severe food insecurity. So, you know, we're quite used to many disasters, unfortunately, not hitting the news, and sometimes they're not being properly funded and supported. But our job is focused on actually meeting immediate needs. I mean, the ICRC is providing 6,000 body bags. We've got to find a way to deal with all of these dead bodies in a dignified way. Obviously, there's the issue of identification for the loved ones, psychosocial support for the tremendous trauma that people have faced as a result of this crisis that will go on for years to come. And then we've just got to get on with meeting basic needs so that they can have shelter, access to clean water.
And everything that you're saying there, particularly of dealing with bodies and doing it in a way that is sensitive to family members, that makes sure that their identities are recorded, all of that is so important. But it's also important, the health implications of making sure that they're removed from the water stream, being under, there's talk of them under mud, places that are going into water that's being used for drinking water, for washing water. There are health concerns here too.
I mean, the chances of cholera and other disease outbreaks are very high. And the priority has to be, to try and find the bodies and find a way to provide the body bags so that they can be safely buried as quickly as possible. And then trying to look at what's been the impact of the crisis in Derna and the surrounding areas on the existing water systems, and trying to make sure that they can get fixed as fast as possible. And in the meantime, other ways to provide access to clean water is going to be essential in the days to come.